In this video, I'll be attempting harder and harder Superman sketches, and honestly, as of recording this, I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull it off, especially with the rules I've set for myself for this challenge. Rule 1. Sketches must get progressively harder, which is why I started off simple with this first sketch that took about a half an hour. It's important that it only took a half an hour compared to the rest because Rule 2. I must get the video out before the movie releases. This alone could make me fail this challenge because, believe it or not, I actually do have a full-time job. Which brings us to rule number 3. I must have fun, which is the most important rule because this video ain't sponsored. So if I'm not having fun, why do it? Now this was supposed to be the easy rule, but after losing a few hours finding out that I don't know how to draw the backs of people's heads, it didn't seem like that was the case anymore. I was pretty tempted to embrace my inner Kyle there, but I took a few deep breaths, watched a few tutorials, practiced the old-fashioned way, and got back to it. I figured the challenge would be worth it just because I think it could be a lot of fun since I'm pretty hyped for the new Superman. This guy made Guardians, Suicide Squad. No, not you. Get out of here. The Suicide Squad, Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Yes, I'll miss Henry Cavill as much as anyone could. But how can I not trust James Gunn with casting when he managed to pull this off? Seriously, it's like that dog was born to play Scooby-Doo. Back to the sketch, things were starting to look a lot better. I still didn't feel like it was quite where I wanted things to be, but it was heading in the right direction and had the right structure. And I didn't want to lose all of that progress, so I decided to use a very risky trick where I'll shake the Etch-a-Sketch fairly lightly. That way the drawing fades without being completely erased. This trick is kind of high risk, high reward though, because if I get it wrong and erase too much, I'm starting from scratch. So, it's a good thing I got it right. Now, once the stressful bit of trying not to screw his head up again was finally done, I was able to just relax and draw for a while. And while I'm doing that, if you could just hit that like and subscribe, that'd be super. Eventually, I pulled myself away to actually eat something, though this was to my detriment because it almost ruined everything. Let me back up a little bit. You see, inside every Etch-a-Sketch, there's this stylus that connects to the knobs and presses against the back of the glass screen. The screen itself is clear, but it has an aluminum powder coating that causes the silvery appearance on the Etch-a-Sketch. When you rotate the knobs on an Etch-a-Sketch, they move the stylus in the X and Y directions. Since the stylus is pressed against the powder-coated screen, it literally etches out a line wherever it goes, hence the name Etch-a-Sketch. All you normally see of the stylus is this little dot on the screen, but if you have an Etch-a-Sketch and a bit of patience, you can black out the screen and actually see the whole stylus for yourself. Which leads us to my problem. When I finished eating and got back to the sketch, I could not see the stylus at all. I'd forgotten where I'd left it off, and since the screen was not blackened out, all I would be able to see of it was one small, barely distinct dot. I could find it potentially by moving it around since a moving dot is a lot easier to see, but moving it around could also destroy the drawing. So I prayed that the stupid dot wasn't anywhere near Superman's head and gently moved the knobs back and forth to try to give away its position without doing too much damage. Luckily, it wasn't by Superman or Crypto, and I got even more lucky that I'd moved the stylus downward when I finally got it, because if I'd moved it up, I don't think I would have had any way of covering that up. But, as is, it was an easy fix. Okay, I realized while editing that you can't even really see the mark I made. Maybe I was being a bit dramatic there. So at this point, I was kind of regretting not making this one the final sketch, because it was hard, and I did not want to do a harder one. Plus, I really liked how it looked, and I didn't know if I'd be able to top it. But whatever, what's done is done. So I decided to reference this poster for the final sketch. I figured for a few reasons it would definitely be the most difficult thing I could try, complying with rule 1, because it's basically just a mix of all the things I'm really bad at drawing, like faces, bright lighting, shading is difficult, and also colors are completely off the table. This is still just an Etch-a-Sketch. But mainly, I still really struggle with anatomy. I just can't ever seem to get people's proportions right. I mean, just look at the T-Rex arm I gave Michael Myers. So, I figured to give myself the best chance, I'd approach this one with the same light erase method that I used for the second sketch, so that I could try to get different layers for the shading and the colored areas. But I was tempted not to go through with it at this point, just because look at how good the anatomy was turning out. His chest actually looks like a Superman chest, and his arms look fine. The hands could use some help, but drawing hands is miserable and I don't want to talk about it. I did end up going through with the shaky method since the face did not look good, and I really just hoped that this would make for some good shading on his face so that he could look a bit more like the poster on the second go around. Instead, it looked a bit more like Hannibal Lecter.
Oh my god! That is.
And I'm going to be real with you, everything seemed to just start going downhill from here. I think where I really messed up was I tried to make it look a little bit too much like the poster instead of just taking inspiration from the poster, because let's face it, his face with this lighting was never going to look good on an Etch-a-Sketch. I think it might have worked better if I'd gone for a more animated face, maybe a bit closer to something like from My Adventures with Superman. So I tried the shaky a few more times. So I was careful to shake the Etch-a-Sketch in a way where the powder would just hit his face without totally erasing his body, because I do not have enough time to start from scratch. The animated approach was at least marginally better, so I decided to keep pushing forward and finish this sketch rather than start over and break rule number 2 by not uploading in time. But as I went on, it just seemed more and more apparent that I wouldn't be able to make anything in time that would top the second sketch. Which really sucks. I sunk a lot of effort into this video, so realizing I wouldn't be able to make something good enough to actually complete the challenge I'd set was really disappointing. Until I remembered that the rules didn't say anything about the sketch being progressively better, just more difficult. So, looking at the rules, did I pass this self-inflicted challenge? Rule 1. Did the sketches get more difficult? Absolutely. Maybe not better, but my cramping hands can tell you they were more difficult for sure. Passed. Rule 2. Did I get it out in time? At the sake of my sanity, passed. And finally, Rule 3. Did I have fun? Nope. Challenge failed.